At 1 a.m., you watch someone your age announce the life you thought you were supposed to have. The job, the engagement, the apartment, and the clean little caption that makes adulthood look finished. For a few seconds, something in your chest goes quiet. It is not exactly jealousy, and it is not even resentment. It is the suspicion that everyone else received a map, and somehow yours never came. You wonder why you still cannot choose quickly, love easily, or commit to a path without interrogating it first. You have been told you have potential, as if potential is supposed to turn into direction by itself. You have been told you just need discipline, as if discipline can make a false life feel true. You have been told you think too much, want too much, and make simple things complicated. But you are not sitting there because you are lazy. You are sitting there because nothing has felt true enough to build a life around. That difference matters more than anyone has told you. The issue is not delay. The issue is depth. Psychologists sometimes describe this as depth of processing. There is a kind of mind that does not move fast because it cannot move shallow. You do not hop between jobs because you are careless. You stay long enough to feel what the work does to your body. You notice when the title looks impressive. But your mornings begin to feel like a slow disappearance. People call that indecision, but your nervous system calls it evidence. You do not enter relationships easily because you are cold. You feel the future weight of a person before they have even become part of your life. You hear what they say, but you also notice what their silence asks you to ignore. Your mind does not simply receive information and move on. It turns the information over, connects it to memory, tests it against feeling, and waits for the hidden pattern to appear. It makes you thorough in a world that keeps mistaking thoroughness for hesitation. And here's what nobody tells you about the people who looked certain at 23. Many of them built from the roof down. They chose the career that photographed well. They chose the relationship that arrived on schedule. They chose the identity that made questions stop. Then they hoped the foundation would appear later. You could not do that, even when you wanted to. Not because you were braver than everyone else, but because some part of you could feel the cracks before the house was finished. You have walked away from paths that looked like answers from the outside, a good job that made you smaller by month 4, a relationship that made sense on paper, but felt like wearing someone else's coat, a personality you tried on for 2 years, then quietly returned when nobody was looking. People may have called that failure, but failure is not always a collapse. Sometimes failure is the moment your deeper self refuses to live inside a false structure. Carl Jung called part of this process individuation. It is the long work of becoming who you are, instead of performing who circumstance trained you to be. Most people are never encouraged to ask that question. So when you refuse to choose what looks right but feels wrong, the culture does not know what to call you. It calls you behind, difficult, afraid of commitment, or too complicated for your own good. But maybe commitment was never your problem after all. Maybe your problem was that you kept being asked to commit to things. That required you to abandon yourself. This is the honest part, because every depth has a cost. You have lost time, and pretending otherwise would make this feel cheap. You have watched people younger than you get promoted, married, settled, celebrated, and approved by the world. You have held your phone at 1 a.m. like it was evidence in a trial against your life. You have grieved years that did not become anything visible. That grief is real. And it deserves to be named before anyone tries to make it inspirational. Because depth is not a romantic word when you are the one paying for it. Depth can look like loneliness while everyone else seems chosen. Depth can look like silence when other people are announcing milestones. Depth can look like starting over so often that you stop telling people what you are trying next. But listen closely, because this is where the story changes. You are not late because your life does not match someone else's timeline. You are only late if the destination was ever truly yours. Behind what exactly and who decided that race was yours? Behind a calendar built for a different nervous system. Behind milestones designed for people who can accept a nearly right life. Author Rich Karlgaard wrote about late bloomers, people who often look delayed before they become unmistakably aligned. The pattern is not that late bloomers waste time. The pattern is that they gather information longer before they move with force. They sit in uncertainty not because they are passive, but because they are waiting for something their body can say yes to. Speed builds momentum, but depth builds direction that can survive arrival. That is why your caution cannot be judged only by what it delayed. It has to be judged by what it protected. It protected you from the job that would have trained you to betray your own energy. It protected you from the relationship that would have rewarded you for shrinking. It protected you from the identity that would have been praised by everyone except the person living inside it. This is the architecture difference almost nobody sees. Some people build the roof first, starting with the title, the ring, the apartment, and the answer that sounds clean in a room. The foundation gets poured later, if it ever gets poured at all. You build from the foundation up, spending years underground in the part no one can clap for. And because foundations are invisible, people assume nothing is happening. That assumption is not your assignment to correct. The mind that cannot commit to something false may take longer to arrive, but when it finds something true, it does not leave so easily. That is not a small thing. That is the entire thing. You were never designed to peak at 25. You were designed to become more accurate with time. The part of you that sits inside the question is not your enemy. The part of you that cannot fake enthusiasm is not broken. The part of you that keeps listening for truth beneath the noise is the part that saved you from building on sand. The 1 a.m. scroll does not mean you are losing. It means you are still awake to what actually matters. You are not behind. You are at a different stage of a longer structure. You are not late. You are deep. And depth, in the end, is what allows a life to hold.